Even though this Glad Force Flex trash bag has served me well, I think it's time I replace it. Not sponsored. So this right here is what you call a new to me hatch, liftgate, one of the two. It's got a nice piece of glass, relatively undamaged. If you live in the Rust Belt, then you know that most pinched edges, like this bottom edge here on the liftgate, can actually rust out. My original one was actually treated. This one seems to be in pretty good shape. It's a little dirty. Got it off Facebook Marketplace, so the guy that took this off just cut the wires to it and cut the hose. So I'll have to take the third brake light out and pull that harness out. And then I'm gonna have to switch the key cylinder for this because it won't match this Jeep. This came from a 2000 XJ. It was a maroon color, so obviously it's not going to match the paint on my Jeep, but I think what I'm going to end up doing is repainting the whole Jeep because it's got some issues. So I think what we're going to do for now is install this liftgate, and then later on this winter actually repaint it with some more components. You want to make sure that this rod goes back in the same spot before you disconnect it. That bolt's gonna need a little bit of panther piss on it. box. It's spinning inside of that handle now. Shoot. Well, can't get it out, so we're probably just gonna have to burn it out of the plastic. This little coupler I added for my interior rear hatch axis handle. I'll leave a link to that video right here. Here I'm adding a little bit of anti-seize to that bolt that snapped on that other handle, just so I can get this handle off in the future. This is a nylon locking nut that I add to the external handle rod here. If you guys have ever ran into a problem where you can't get your liftgate open, adding this will remedy that. So I forgot to press the record button, but as you can see now the liftgate is on the Jeep. I guess you just have to imagine me balancing this on my head while trying to screw these bolts in for the hinge. Kind of half-ass up there already. Pretty much from here it's reverse of removal. So put on your struts, tighten down your hinge loosely. We're gonna have to adjust it. Put your brake light in, run your harness back through the liftgate, hook your washer line back up for the rear wiper, and then put the panel back on. Pretty easy. Jesus Christ. Let's see it fall down now. I ruined my CB antenna cable trying to remove it from this thing. I'm gonna have to get a new one of those. So a while back I installed a CB on this Jeep. I think it was like the first modification I ever did to this thing. Made a video on it. I'll put a link to it up here. I ran a coax cable up through this boot so it could attach to the antenna on the liftgate. I haven't had any issues with it until I decided to take this liftgate apart, and when I originally passed the plug through this boot, I had lubed it up a little bit. Well, me being impatient, I didn't lube it up to pull it back out, and it just pulled the end right off of it. That kind of sucks. I'm not gonna rerun this in this video. I plan on actually taking this back off so we can actually paint it, but I wanna make sure it fits completely before we spend a bunch of time painting it. I cut this washer hose because it made, you know, feeding it back through this boot a lot easier, and put this little T in there. It makes running this washer line much easier. Now to adjust this hatch so it fits the Jeep, you're gonna have to go up and down with this several times. First off, you want to make sure that your bolts are tight, you know, just so this thing doesn't slide down. We got it folded down and then you can't unlatch it. One thing that I've done is I took these little clips out of these gas struts, so that way I can just kind of slip them off. They're little balls here. And then you just fold her down. I should also note that I've got a roll of paper towels just kind of setting on the latch up against my drawer system. That'll just make it so we're just aligning the hatch right now, and then we'll deal with the latch later. So really what you want to do is look to make sure that the roof line kind of matches. It's not going to be 100% because none of these Jeeps are the exact same. You shouldn't see like this edge way down and this edge way up. It should be somewhat uniform. And this one's pretty close. It looks like on the side we might need to come a little bit to the passenger side, maybe like 1/8 of an inch. It's fitting pretty well though. So you just kind of loosen these back up. I always loosen one couple turns on both sides. And then you loosen the other one just enough to where it's still kind of snug. Because what you don't want is if these bolts are loose right now, this gas strut is going to want to push it out. Then we're going to lose our adjustment completely. Alright. We'll tighten it up and check it again. That's it, that's pretty good. I'll just tighten it up, put it back together. Sweet. Fits better than the last Liftgate. I'm gonna go push the brake. You tell me if this works. Did it work? Sweet. No washer fluid. There you go, guys. It's a rear liftgate on an XJ. Took me a while to get it, but I got one. This is a far cheaper option than actually trying to fix my last one. If you guys remember, I took this Jeep to the cliffs and backed into a tree stump down in a creek bed. If you haven't, I'll leave a link. Far cheaper, far easier in my mind because I am a terrible body man. Hope you guys enjoyed. Catch you on the next one.